If you're putting in the work, your food should too. Thrive Market is a no-junk online grocery store that helps you clean up your pantry, cutting over 1,000 plus shady ingredients from the stuff you eat every day. From high-protein snacks and anti-inflammatory pantry staples to performance supplements and recovery blends. You'll find high-quality food that actually lines up with how you want to eat. Check it out at thrivemarket.com/podcast to get 30% off your first order, plus a free $60 gift. Fuel better without the hassle.
Someplace underneath.
I'm doing great in every wonderful way possible. Not really.
Yeah, you just went out immediately, couldn't think of one thing.
Here's one thing that I'm proud of myself. I haven't been eating much very lately. I just have like nuts and power bars and energy drinks and things to like keep me alive, but no like meals. I'm just not hungry. I don't know. And then the other day I was like, fuck it, I'm hungry. I need to order in. But instead I went to the grocery store. And I got a rotisserie chicken and a bagged salad. And that will last me a few meals. And I saved $50.
I mean, that's true. Ordering out is great. I am thankful for those services. But yes, they'll creep up on you.
Oh, yeah.
Cost-wise. That purple color dress that you're wearing is very pretty on your skin.
Thank you.
You look very princessy.
Thank you. I think I might, what do you call it? The color scheme is a winter. A cool winter.
I could see that, yeah.
Which is something my mother always said. And I was always like, geez, Mom. Ugh. And then she was always right. Isn't that funny? Isn't that fun?
Moms can be right. I say that cynically, and I'm sorry. Didn't mean to sound like I was being rude.
No. Just like every friend I had growing up, she would just be like, Amber, this person's going to betray you. They're not good. They're not a good person. I was like, whatever, Mom. And then like 2 seconds later, I'd be like, oh my God, Mom was right.
Look at that. Mom was right. I still don't wear any form of color palette that should probably sit on pawns to me. I kind of just put stuff on.
Well, you look great in everything. You can put on a paper bag.
Right? Thank you. Welcome to Place Under Neith. I'm Nellie Jean.
I'm Amber Nelson.
Yeah, I don't really know what my palette is.
I think you're a summer.
Okay.
You look at your veins, and if they're green, summer. And if they're blue, winter.
They look blue and green to me.
Well, fuck.
I'm a fall.
There we go. But that's like olive. I feel like I'm not funny. This interview. It's been 5 minutes. I haven't cracked one joke. It's okay. It's okay. We're breathing.
We need you to talk too. You know, your voice is valid. It's important.
Is it? Is what I do valid? People ask me what I do all the time. And I'm like,
Oh, whatever. What are we supposed to be doing? Creating a shell company to funnel millions of dollars and pretend like we're doing a charity?
Exactly.
Is that what we're supposed to be doing as respected adults?
Yes, these jobs are just made up. I feel like every job in 2025 is made the fuck up. No, I don't work for accounting. I yap.
Yeah.
I talk.
Yes, and I think that is valid, especially because you've worked very hard for this career and you are a comedy writer. And you deserve to be here. And I'm just affirming you.
Thank you.
Because we must remember, I'm saying this to all of you out there in the listening world too, the more we talk about these guys, the more angry I get at feeling the imposter syndrome that we all get because they don't feel it at all. And they are actually being imposters.
And they were told their whole life that you are mommy's special little golden boy. Mm-hmm. And they're out here actively ruining everybody's lives, not even mediocre. And they walk around like they've got the biggest cock in La La Land.
Really do. But it does catch up eventually. And we're maybe not quite there in this story, but we're hopefully getting a little bit closer. And man, I just thought of calling the episode where we covered Sound of Freedom, the sound of fapping. But it's too late and I'm mad. I'm mad that I didn't think about it before. Because that's really what that movie is, masturbatory. We'll say that.
Yeah, it's a bunch of guys in there just like, yeah.
I'm so good. Oh, my abs are so good. Thick abs going through the border.
I wish they would just do gay porn instead of all this.
Well, they can't. They can't. God said no.
But he got christened twice, so he can do some gay porn.
He did. He has the second anointing. So I guess that's true. That is not covered. I mean, that is covered with the second anointing. As far as we know, you can do gay stuff. So loophole. Always getting those loopholes around Christ. We've covered a lot of the ongoing trouble surrounding the mess that is Tim Ballard, and we decided to put the entire interview with Ryan Fisher into as an episode because I really wanted you to hear what he had to say. He's incredibly courageous for coming forward. He's literally fearing for his life at times, and I just want to say thank you to him again for, not that the women aren't incredibly courageous, but in this other way, it's hard to get men to come forward and talk about this. And so if there's a dude who's going to do it, I'm thankful to them.
Yeah.
They're not facing the same level of ire and scary threats that the women are, but it seems like it's a lot harder for them to come forward. So Ryan did, and that's freaking amazing in my book. So I want to also just reiterate from that interview, I want to say again, if you have info that is helpful to reaching Ballard's potential victims in foreign countries, you can reach out to either Ryan, or if you feel better reaching out to us, you can email us at someplaceunderneath@gmail.com if you're like a legal professional or have any idea on the ways in which their victims, potential victims from other countries could be helped. Hit us up, or you could always hit up Ryan and Kara directly through Kara's channel. Her name is spelled CARAHBURRELL. Ryan and Kara do cover the Ballard Circus quite a bit, so I definitely recommend checking them out. And here's where we are today. So there are many different disturbing elements of Tim's actions, and one that sticks out quite a bit and that we need to talk about on a larger scale is the really underreported on activities and his alleged connections and possibly aid between Tim Ballard and Sean Reyes, the former Utah Attorney General.
That sounds illegal. I'm no Judge Judy, but that sounds illegal.
You would think it is, and it could be potentially, but it seems like if you're the one who controls all the laws, nothing's illegal. Isn't that cool?
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So much like the vast majority of politicians in the state of Utah, Reyes is a saint. He's an LDS member. And by the way, it's not just Utah. It's also in Idaho, and we will get more into that next week. But both Utah and Idaho are almost exclusively consisting of politicians who are LDS. Way more in Utah than in Idaho, but Idaho has a lot. I've done a little bit of a breakdown. I probably should just make a whole chart.
Yeah.
But there is a very rich in LDS people in the system in Idaho as well, which is something that's probably a little concerning. But Reyes is who we're going to talk about today. And I don't think you have to be a political expert to see how one reigning church could be like a really messed up thing inside of an entire state's politics. And not only is nearly everyone running Utah and large portions of Idaho saints, but the vast majority of Utahns in the government went to either, and I need to add this in here because this includes Reyes, went to either BYU, University of Utah, or both. I'm not making any accusations there. I'm bringing it up because, again, like so many other parts of what we've covered so far, those universities keep showing back up. And I know we've had people reach out to us and be like, there's so many parts of these universities, and we have talked to people who are great who come from them, but it's weird.
Yeah, it sounds like grooming. It sounds like from birth you're supposed to be this person and then follow along this path, but that's not how people are.
Yeah, it's weird, and it seems problematic to me. Are there any other states in this country that are run by people who all went to one college? Because that's strange to me.
No, like in Louisiana, yeah, there's LSU, but then there's also like a lot of other colleges. Like there's Tulane. Yeah.
And probably other people who are in Louisiana's politics didn't come from Louisiana.
Yeah, it's a port town.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
It's all just insulated, insular. So it makes me feel like if I were to walk around that town, they'd be like, who is this? Who is this alien?
Yeah. So, the other states like Louisiana, whatever, who run ultra conservative, they at the very least have a variety of different colors of beige, where this is just the one, bland shade. And it probably goes without saying, but all of these courts and laws run very, very conservative. Many politicians are in the realm of MAGA and could be considered far, far right, like dangerously so. And that very much includes Sean Reyes. So with Sean, he just stepped down about a year ago from Attorney General, but he was in the government for a long time. And I wanted to just briefly look at his constituents and like what they feel, what they think on a broader scale. So the first study that I wanted to look at, it's a Pew Research study. This one is actually from 2014. It was like basically an exit poll after Obama's first term. And people were in the Pew Center for Research were trying to figure out which like main religious organizations, which way that they leaned politically.
Right. As
you'll see in 2014, who's the very tip top there who is leaning Republican?
Church of Nazarene.
Oh, no, right above it.
Mormon. I don't know why I didn't even see that. Sorry. The whole show. This is what the whole show we're talking about, Amber. But it does look like, 70% are Republican in the Mormon faith, and it looks like 19% are Democrat in the Mormon faith.
In 2014.
Okay. So that's actually more Democrats than I thought it would be.
That didn't surprise me because this isn't just Utah LDS, which it kind of leans a little bit more liberal-ish, I guess, on the outside.
Also, Southern Baptist, there's 26% of Democrats. And that's more than I thought.
Yeah, and that was in 2014. That might be different now, but that does seem to me like a lot for Southern Baptist Convention. I think when MAGAism came in, I feel like the Democratic part probably got a lot smaller because they love it. They love red hat stuff. So that was done in 2014. It is, of all of the denominations that kind of reign the United States, LDS Church is the tip top in Republican percentage. 70% of the church identified as a Republican. Another study was done in 2024. This sample size was smaller, but what it shows is that roughly 75% of the LDS Church identified as Republican in 2024. So
it went up.
It went up. And if this is a good representation, if this is an accurate representation of the modern day LDS Church, one thing we do see on the newer research polls is that they have lost a section of the percentage of who was identifying as independent in the LDS Church. And there was a slight uptick in Democratic representation in the LDS Church. So it went from, in 2014, there was 19% that said that they felt more represented by the Democratic Party. So if you look at the 2024 study, there's 23% who say they lean Democratic and 75% that lean Republican. So there is an uptick in the Democratic representation, and I do think that is the small percentage of LDS who don't agree with Trumpism. So they might feel like they kind of were Republicans, but the Trumpism aspect of it is distasteful to them.
That's got to be hard for them because this is a very usually mass religions are like, you got to fall in line and toe the line.
Well, especially in this church.
Especially here.
Yeah.
And to just have those two broad sense of terms in your brain, like two cats fighting in your head all the time?
Yeah. I mean, the cognitive dissonance is definitely something that's going to be studied for generations of these conservative circles who also support this very non-conservative man. But so there's still 75%. And also, it's not accounting for how many people left the church in those 10 years. And I do think quite a few left since the 2014 polls. So that also would probably account for the 75% because the more extreme things get, the more extreme the circle of people is going to be, right? Because you can't kind of be moderate in a lot of circles with the LDS Church at this point. And that's not everywhere, but a lot of times in Utah and Idaho, et cetera. But the people who didn't support Trumpism and who maybe now are sort of leaning Democrat is what I would call the Romneyites, the Romney-style LDS people. And those people are grossed out by Trump. At this point, the Republican Party in our country is just MAGAism. Like, there really isn't another portion of the Republican Party anymore. It's just memes, merchandise, tribalism. There's not really a place for like a Romney at this point, to be frank. But
just sort of like a center right.
Yeah.
Just sort of like a. Yeah.
I mean, the center right is now like Joe Biden. Like, that's who that is now.
Yeah. Because I think they'd be laughed out of their circles. It's a lot of like, unless you are maxing out as much as we are. Liberals also do the same thing.
Sure. I mean, in different ways for sure, but yes. So within that poll that was taken in 2024, it's still showing that LDS and the 75% who represent Republicans, it's not number one anymore representing Republicans in this study. It's number two, only beaten by white evangelical Protestants. They are at 85% Republican, which makes sense because they are very MAGA heavy. But beyond that, it's still at the very tip top of people who lean to the right inside of organized religion in this country. It is LDS right there at the very top. So that's to say that the majority of the voices in the LDS political sphere are kind of on the side of like Reyes Mormonism. And that should concern you as an American citizen in general.
If you're putting in the work, your food should too. Thrive Market is a no-junk online grocery store that helps you clean up your pantry, cutting over 1,000 plus shady ingredients from the stuff you eat every day. From high-protein snacks and anti-inflammatory pantry staples to performance supplements and recovery blends. You'll find high-quality food that actually lines up with how you want to eat. Check it out at thrivemarket.com/podcast to get 30% off your first order, plus a free $60 gift. Fuel better without the hassle.
Let's talk about a little bit what Sean Reyes Mormonism is and what Sean Reyes Republicanism is.
Yeah. Let's tell us more like his beliefs, because I'm looking up. His father was an immigrant from the Philippines. His mother was half Native Hawaiian and half Japanese descent.
Yes, he is one of the very few.
So he's not like a white European guy.
No, not at all. And you would think that would make him more empathetic to things, but no.
I mean, wasn't the leader of the Proud Boys like?
Yeah, I think
something?
Hispanic, I believe.
So I don't know. I don't know what universe we're on here.
Who knows? So if we just want to look at like the broader scope of who Sean Reyes is, away from his activity with Ballard, which we'll get back to, he belonged to a group. He was actually the chairman of a group called the Rule of Law Defense Fund, a group connected to another group of conservative attorneys general called RAGA. Republican Attorneys General Association, because you have to say attorneys general, not attorney generals, if that makes sense, for the plural.
Okay. Why does that sound worse than MAGA?
Because it sounds like rage, kind of. Yeah. Do you know I've read, I think, 13 books for the season so far?
Natalie, you're such a brain girl.
I'm really not, actually. I enjoy the research aspect of it, but I have a really hard time concentrating, and I'm always looking for different ways to manage my concentration while also giving myself a little kick up. You know, I'll get tired.
There you go. And I think Magic Mind, they reached out and they said, do you want to have some of our shots? And we were like, yeah, let's rock and roll.
Especially because I was already consuming Magic Mind on my own.
Yeah.
I really loved those
You
shots.
liked it. I honestly never heard of it. And then I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. And honestly, I am always very scatterbrained. And like, if you sit me in a chair, I'll just kind of like think about childhood memories and like not the task at hand. But I've had some of these shots and I was like, oh, I'm like more focused. I'm actually calmer.
Oh, yeah.
You
and
know?
also, it's something that genuinely helps me get the work done. I am kind of a procrastinator. I will find 4 different things I needed to finish a week ago before I knew the thing I needed to finish that day, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
you know, or if I have to clean the living room for a party in 2 weeks, I'll be like, well, I got to get this done before I write it. But not when I take these shots. I genuinely sit down, I get the work done, I get the writing done, and they taste really good too.
Heck yeah. And there's 3 of them. There's the original, which we had earlier. It's the classic one. It's like a yellowish color, greenish yellowish. It has 55 milligrams of caffeine, so that's a little bit.
Yeah.
3 grams of sugar, not much. It's very gentle. It feels really gentle on my body.
Yeah, if you're a caffeine consumer in general, this is not very much. And it can kind of give you a little kick instead of having another giant coffee, which is something that I try not to do after a certain time in the day, like after 3. But I'm always working after 3. So this has been a nice alternate for me to be able to have some caffeine, but not go a little hyperactive.
That's right. And there's also one of them that does not have any caffeine, and it's called Free. So no caffeine and no sugar, but it is kind of like an energy shot. It's the world's first caffeine-free energy shot built for focus minus the jitters.
Yeah, and these are lifesavers when we're doing stuff at night, when we're streaming in the evening and I have to come up with a script and stuff like that. 0 caffeine, but it's got the original blend of nootropics, 12-ingredient stack of nootropics, adaptogens, vitamins, and antioxidants.
And then if you are a caffeine girly, there's the Max, and that's got 165 milligrams of caffeine. That's going to get you building a railroad at 6 o'clock in the morning.
You know, sometimes you need to get through a 12-hour day, and you got to get that caffeine in your body. It's got all of the same great ingredients, all of the adaptogens, vitamins, antioxidants, and nootropics, but you get that nice little how do you doing in the morning.
That's right. 4 grams of sugar, so that's still not bad at all.
Yep, and 165 milligrams of caffeine. Go with Max if you're a caffeine lover chasing that extra kick. It's our boldest blend yet.
That's right. And then go ahead and use us to get a discount. You can get 60% off Magic Mind with our link and code magicmind.com/someplaceunderneath, and you type in someplace60 and you get 6% off.
Give it a shot, truly. I really, really enjoy them for getting work. I know there's lots of students, there's lots of people who have office jobs who listen to us, and you gotta get to typing. This is a great way to assist your focus, concentration, your brain fog, the fatigue that can happen from sitting at a computer for too long.
Oh yeah, I love it. Give it a try.
We got Free, the original, and we got Max caffeine. So these 2 groups, they're sort of activist groups for, in my opinion, the worst people on earth. But Reyes was the chairman for the Rule of Law Defense Fund. And he spent a lot of time participating in things like suing Obama over transgender issues and fighting tooth and nail to ban same-sex marriage in Utah. You know, the super important stuff for his constituents to flourish. It's just nonsense. I mean, the idea that you would spend that time dealing with people who are like 0.5% of your state, 0.05% of your state, who are not bothering you, instead of trying to make your constituents' lives better, is whatever. I guess go off, queen.
Well, if you point and you say, look over there, look at this enemy, then you don't have to look at the stuff bothering you here. Like when I call my mom and she goes off on transgender people in the bathrooms, I'm like, you live in one of the poorest states I've ever been in my life. Like when I come into your town, I feel like I'm going into some fucked up country I'm seeing in a BBC documentary.
Right.
Like there's literally stuff like just pregnant dogs running around.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just all over the street. And what trans person do you know? Let's take care of the dogs first.
I'm with you, girl. And this is exactly what he was spending his time doing a lot of the time, because this is what that level of that right-wing section of the world, including the Mormon Reyes supporting kind of people, is like, well, let's not deal with maybe the rampant sexual assault going on with our bishops. Let's like try to make sure transgender people are scared out of here with the shotgun, the 4 that have ever tried to come into Utah. And like you just said, it is just all
scapegoat.
Look over here. Look over here.
It's probably because he's gay.
Let's
be honest.
Who knows? But also, I think this is also an easy way to have people not be paying attention to things like funneling money.
Yeah.
Just making stuff better for yourself and your rich friends. And then just like using this idea of righteousness and godliness to sort of give yourself an excuse for it. You give yourself a little treat because you're such a good little Mormon. You steal a little money.
Yeah,
you know?
You deserve it.
And he gets a lot worse than that. We'll get back to what he does with Ballard. But so when he was working for, decades really in Utah, he was focused on these sort of like, look over here sort of tactics. And not only that, but that organization, that activist group that he did with other conservative attorneys general that we were just talking about, he and they played a big part in the Stop the Steal garbage. So he is a Trumper. He is a Trump guy through and through. And he was out on the fucking podiums questioning votes for Biden, suggesting people shouldn't trust the election. And his group was implicated in stirring up January 6th.
Oh.
So Reyes denies being involved in that, but his group did send out robocalls to all of the people who were already in support of it and being like, you got to get out to the Washington to stop this steal from happening. And so they were encouraging people to go out and not encouraging violence. I will say they didn't say like go with pitchforks, but they were telling people, they were riling them up.
And he's just denying it. Well, isn't that a tactic? It's like, no, it didn't happen. And if it did happen, it's not that big of a deal. And also, you should get over it. And then, yeah, I actually meant to do it. That's like the last step.
Yeah. And that's kind of what happened a little bit with that group. So whenever those robocalls were discovered after the chaos of January 6th, and I think they saw that actually a lot of other conservatives and Republicans were not happy about this happening and didn't support it, all of these attorneys general and all of their little friends who are part of this group start pointing their fingies at each other and going like, I don't know who did that. That must have been our intern must have made those robocalls. I don't know. Because they thought that they were going to get held up by their shoulders and being like, we saved America.
So they're just being a victim now?
Yes.
No, I don't know. And you're questioning me makes me a victim.
I don't know who did it. I didn't do it. So that's sort of, they went like, nuh-uh. But they did. I mean, their organization was openly, publicly a part of the fervor that led up to that. And again, I'm pointing out all of this because there were conservative Republicans and members of the church pushing back hard against these activities and against Reyes. So even in the conservative religious world, he is still seen as an extremist in some ways. But the people inside the LDS church who are on board with him are really on board with the extremism aspect of it.
Yeah. Because they're like, extreme, what do you mean? This is just my day-to-day life.
Yeah, which is conspiracy. It's just full conspiratorial thinking 24/7, which can kind of blend in really well with some of Mormonism, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So,
because like everything's a psyop. They're all against you. I feel like the last stage of all of this is the end of the world. They want it to end so then God comes back, right?
well, I mean, a lot of churches do.
That's like the end game in all of this. Is like, let's fuck it up so then it collapses.
Well, you remember when we were just talking with Ryan, we had proposed the idea of this. We had spoken with other people who also believe this, and he agreed that there is a lot of talk about creating rapture mansions, polygamy coming back, like all that stuff. Like Ballard's in that world. He is awaiting the jails open up, just like Lori Vallow's been doing and Jody Hildebrandt. They're just awaiting that day's coming. God's going to come, and this is all going to be fixed. And when I say fixed, I mean we're all going to be thrown into a lake of fire, and they're all going to go like, "I'm so sorry for you." Aww.
Of course, they don't like law because law tells them that they have to abide by something, and they want to do whatever they want. They want to fuck all their wives,
and they want to justify it through a religious lens.
Yeah, these guys are terrorists, Natalie.
I don't think that that's incorrect.
Okay, let's keep going.
So back to Sean Reyes and how he connects to OUR. And where to begin with that? So like Tim, if you go to Sean Reyes's social presence right now in current time, it is just pure business as usual. You go, you look at his Instagram account. He's smiling. He's doing the selfies at the Kennedy Center. He's posing with all these different wax figurine men shellacked back. They're all just like patting each other on the back, going like, we did it. We heard a bunch of other people. We did it. And then you go down his grid a little bit. There's a jump scare of Donald Trump Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle visiting an LDS house of worship with Sean Reyes. And you know what? I say, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Bring him in. Get him in there. Bring Russell Brandon. Who cares? What is morality? What's decency? Get the Tate brothers in there. You know? Do a nice photo op in the temple. Thumbs up. Get them all in there.
Get them all in. Yeah. Why not? We know you guys like each other.
Love each other.
They just want to fuck each other. I'm on his page right now. Yeah.
Are you looking at his Instagram?
I'm looking at his Instagram. He looks like a lot of those guys on Hinge that say not political just to get laid.
Well, he does that. He does play that card. I mean, he's definitely not as incendiary as Ballard has been on his socials, but he is doing the same things. But he does a little bit more like, no, I'm a nice guy.
I'm nice. I'm here for everybody. I'm moderate.
Right.
But like get 2 sentences in. And he's like, yeah, I just think the world should end and everybody should be my wife. And
like we should storm
the Capitol.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Big duh.
So as you heard with Ryan's interview, Sean Reyes is not out of the flood of allegations that are trailing him in connection with Tim Ballard. And much like Tim, he's trying to act like everything's cool, but he does need to stay in his safe spaces in order to avoid the evil satanic questions. You can only go into rooms where nobody's going to really push any weird little questions on you about your activities. So he's going where the politicians are also all doing fucked up stuff, and nobody's going to ask each other anything.
God, that reminds me of like back in the day in comics. In the alt scene that would like never do clubs, never go outside the city. Like they would just do bar shows in Brooklyn. And then after a few years of that, it just became so kind of insufferable because it's like, are you in reality right now? You hang out with like 10 people.
Uh-huh. There might be a reason for that.
Yeah.
Might be trying to stay away from certain things. So with LDS politicians, there, again, seems to be 2 camps. It's the Reyes kind and the Romney kind. The Romney kind is annoying, but seemingly genuinely living the way they say they are.
Yeah.
Squeaky clean. His biggest scandal was like they saw him with a cup of coffee and they were like, oh, he's not supposed to have hot drinks. And as a rule, you know, Romney's like reductive and archaic, and I don't agree with pretty much anything that he believes, but I can see that he at least, you know, practices what he preaches.
Yeah.
He got down, he went into a BLM rally one time. He went like, you guys are all right. You know, he does that kind of stuff. And then we have the Reyes kind. That's the kind who has internalized the idea of sin, of the black and white thinking, and has turned that into the idea that men are both strong, powerful leaders, but also weak, uncontrollable babies. I don't have a penis, just so everybody's clear.
Really?
I kind of wish that I had one for a little bit. I would just like to see what it's like.
Yeah, I'd twirl up like a helicopter.
Yeah. I'd pee on stuff.
Yeah.
Probably jerk off. It seems like that's fun. I never have had one either, so I can't speak from experience, but the way that these kind of guys, and I'm talking about Sean Reyes, these kind of red hat guys, Tim Ballard, the way that they talk about how out of control they are, at the mercy of that little skin flap, you'd think it talks to them like a sentient parasitic twin. Because these kind of LDS guys, these kind of red hat conservative guys, they think of themselves and their actions as being barely able to be restrained at all times. And I think that a lot of the danger of that kind of, you know, just like clean lines thinking, this just like one straight shot thinking is that, and it's so present in Mormonism, is that you can excuse anything and wash it away. For example, if legal consequences were taken away, there's probably no part of you, Amber, I don't think a part of me that would want to go out and hurt people or steal from citizens or, you know, assault someone, trying to like rip a little piece of their soul out.
Honestly, if all the laws were taken away, I'd hide.
I'd be scared. Yes.
I would be hiding because of guys like this that just want to be a bull in a china shop.
Yes, exactly.
Between vacations, errands, and everyday summer chaos, sticking to your health goals can be tough. Luckily, Thrive Market does the hard work for you. We're the online healthy grocery store that cuts out the junk ingredients and delivers high-quality groceries right to your door. From low-sugar beach snacks to organic grill night staples, no matter your health goal, we make shopping healthy a breeze. Go to thrivemarket.com/podcast for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
And I guess teaching somebody from birth in a control group like this that you're bound to do these things and that you're just being held back on the tenuous leash of God like a rabid animal, being like, oh God, I just want to get at him. I want to get at him, but I can't.
Yeah.
That's how they view themselves.
The law is women. Women, we literally just said we'd hide if there were no laws. So they think laws are inherently like feminine. So they got to get rid of it because they got to be able to do whatever they want.
Or they have to do these horrific acts in secret and then like it's a second life they have where they have to cover up these dark desires that they have. And I think that streamlined kind of thinking just leads to amorality because you don't get a chance to develop self-regulation when you do that. And that is how I perceive these guys. That's how I perceive Sean Reyes. It's how I perceive Tim Ballard and all of their, little friends they're always with. There's no like moral center. I'm not seeing that from them. I'm not seeing that thing that tells you like what's okay and what isn't. And like, you call it empathy, whatever. And there's nothing telling Sean Reyes that engaging in questionable sexual behavior or having a secret cocaine den, allegedly, where seedy kind of scary, dangerous behavior plays out, nothing is telling him that that's morally and ethically wrong. It's a sin. You just got to say sorry about it. There is something so much more disturbing to me about what Reyes and Ballard have been accused of than if you are, some Rocky Horror Picture Show, sweet transvestite, Dr. Frankenfurter, give yourself over to absolute pleasure stuff. It's so much more creepy and scary to pretend like you are this one thing and then you hide in the corners, in the darkness.
Yeah, because you feel guilty for it. And then when someone turns you on, you get mad at them for doing that. But then, like, not my fault I turned you on. I have big tits.
Right. My boobs are great.
Yeah.
It's not, you shouldn't be angry. Like, why are you, but I do think it's because, I know I'm going on a little tangent here, but I feel like this is important because there's this part of being a human, and this is just my opinion, but there's a part of being human that going wild, even testing your boundaries is really healthy. And it's important for human growth to be able to try some things and experiment.
Yeah.
And treating everything like it's bad means nothing is bad. It means that it's all the same. And if you need to hide your feelings of curiosity, you don't allow yourself the gift of self-regulation. You know how they have this idea in the LDS Church of the power of discernment? Their priesthood holders have the power of discernment. What if we taught the craft of discernment or the skill set of discernment? Because that would help you kind of learn how to regulate, how to engage with people and understand consequences of reactions and that, things like karma, like those exist through learning discernment. They don't come from just being told, you have it. That makes sense?
Yeah. To go, it's kind of like almost like working out, like sort of develop those muscles.
Yeah,
see what you can and can't take. And then just get out there.
Yeah.
Like just get out on the track. Don't just sit around and be like, well, you can't and I can't. No. That's
like what if you that's like the equivalent of somebody going, you're a bodybuilder now. And you're like, oh, fuck yeah. I didn't even have to do anything.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. I didn't have to work for that or like develop any skill sets.
Nope.
I just am.
I just am one. So that's sort of where I think these guys, and I'm talking about this because I'm so perplexed by them and I find them so disturbing. And I do think that's kind of where these guys' mindsets come from. And so, what has Sean done? Yes, we already talked about how he has really shitty politics, in my opinion. He does some really gross things. He's a MAGA guy. He's a red hat. I don't personally vibe with any of that. But what else has he done? Has he done some illegal things? Well, time will tell, right?
What's this coke den you talking about? You said alleged coke den?
Yeah.
Because a Republican coke den sounds...
Oh my God. Like hell.
Hell. Infinitely scarier than any sort of like satanic Hollywood party that I've been to.
Yes, absolutely.
Like I'm getting murdered there.
Yeah. Or, I don't know, you're going to have your boobs cut off or something. Like dark. It's like I feel like it's a Saw movie.
Yeah.
That I'd be walking into.
If I try to like retaliate, they would sue me. And then say, like, you deserved it.
Right.
All bad. None of it's good.
Deport you, like send you to some other country you've never been to and being like, what? I don't know the language. And they're like, shouldn't have
gone there.
Sorry.
Should have hit coke with a red hat. Sorry.
Shouldn't have done it. So Sean, we'll find out. Time will tell if we'll get the entire info story from the courts. But as Ryan Fisher mentioned in his interview, guys like him almost always have sort of web of people around them to protect them in the legal system. So I don't know whether or not he's ever going to face actual judgment and if we're going to get the court documents officially put out there. But we do know some things, and we do have a lot of accusations. In the first weeks of December 2023, media started releasing articles that were titled with things like this.
Utah AG Sean Reyes announces he will not run for re-election, says he believes women who have accused Tim Ballard.
So if you're noticing the dates there, December 2023, the accusations, the lawsuits started becoming more public around the early mid-fall, kind of like October-ish time, right before this. He, by December, is making these statements. That is not his tune before that, though. So by December of that year, Sean Reyes is like, oh my God, these women, I believe them. I didn't know anything about this, and I'm not going to run again. No relation to anything happening. I just feel like
No, something fishy's going on.
So a little bit of that article of what I just read, if you want to read that little clip from it. This is from the Deseret News, by the way, which is an LDS publication. So this is not a leftist. Any of this is not from a leftist magazine.
Reyes said he is not resigning and will serve out the remainder of his term, which ends in January 2025. He made the announcement in a video released the Deseret News and on YouTube, and did not make himself available for questions.
Which is he of course didn't make himself available for questions. That would be answering questions. It's crazy. So if we go back a couple months before this announcement, he's not running for re-election. As these lawsuits are being made public, a natural consequence is that everyone's heads are going to turn towards the Attorney General, who was so vocally supportive of Tim Ballard's efforts for the 10 years leading up to it. Prior to basically December of 2023, he is full on Team Tim, Team Trumpy. They're all best friends. They all do fun things together. In fact, Sean Reyes was participating in Tim Ballard's OUR missions as far back as 2014. I included this picture of him here in his little cosplay outfit because it makes me laugh. I'll post this on socials eventually, but you guys look up the photo of Sean Reyes in OUR gear. It's got a red background because does his face not look like he is passing just a giant fart?
He looks like a little baby in a poster, and he's holding a gun, and he has like a weighted vest on. And it's so weird because like guns are very scary. They could kill you. But with him and his look, it looks like, Mommy, protect me.
I'm strong, Mommy.
I'm strong, Mommy. Like I feel like you could take him.
Don't you think
even with a gun?
He's a baby. He looks like a baby trying to make a poop with a constipated smile. Like, doesn't this sound like this? Like when you look at that picture, isn't that what it seems like what's happening behind him?
Yes.
Yes. Yep. Just a little gassy boy with his little vest on. So yes, I'm showing a picture of him with the ops of OUR,
right,
which, as we've learned from Ryan and other people, was a lot of just sort of doing stunt performer training and then pretending like they were
in the military. That's not the same thing, buddy. So what happened? So he was like super with Tim Ballard, and then he's like, oh, actually, I believe the women now, and I'm not going to run again. So obviously something happened. Because he's not going to believe women.
No. Even though The only reason I do think any of them would agree to this is because the majority of his victims are LDS women. If they were other women, they'd be like,
no.
Oh, these sluts, they just want money. They want him to be married. They all want to kiss him. That's why.
God, maybe that was Tim Ballard's mistake. He should have gotten women not in the church.
Well, the women that he did get that weren't in the church were professionals, and they were like, oh, you are... One of them tried to sue him because they were like, oh, you are not...
You're a faker.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, one of the women was a Marine who, like, actually helped rescue kids and did actual rescue missions. And when she got into OUR, was like,
oh, wait a minute. This guy sucks.
And then she got injured on one of the training missions.
Because he's a weird guy that doesn't follow, like, whatever.
Anything.
Protocol.
So, no.
Like the interview. When he said that he just gave him the wrong holder for the gun. My dude, like, this is pretty serious.
And that guy got shot and shot himself in the leg.
And they tried to cover it up. Like,
Yes.
he doesn't even know what he's doing. He's a weird little cosplay boy.
Absolutely not. He doesn't know what he's doing at all. So up until December of 2023, he was singing this other tune, and he was kind of defensive about the accusations coming out about Tim, and then of course him, because he was getting accusations, and also sort of defending Tim. Even when the women first came forward in August, October, September area, he was like, wow, these are shocking. I do think that Tim deserves his day in court, and I stand by what we were doing with OUR. It was good, and we were good. But then let's read a little of this article that came out in the Deseret News in November of 2023, just about a month before he released the statement saying he believes all the women.
Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes is facing new accusations surrounding his relationship with embattled and anti-trafficking activist Tim Ballard, according to a recent amend complaint, which alleges Reyes tried to intimidate critics of Operation Underground Railroad. The complaint, filed Thursday in Salt Lake's 3rd District Court, is the latest in a lawsuit brought forward by 5 women accusing Ballard of sexual assault. The complaint claims Reyes, a longtime friend of Ballard, was guilty of possible witness tampering and that his actions impeded an investigation into Operation Underground Railroad conducted by the Davis County Attorney's Office and the FBI.
And so that is, again, something that Ryan had brought up and we've talked a little bit about on the show, which is these outside political forces were getting complaints in from different organizations about OUR saying, like, they're not being upfront about what's happening, and they're kind of making stuff up, and they're kind of taking credit for things we've done. And so there was this big investigation underway, and amidst that, Reyes was getting some accusations that he was sort of intimidating people or tampering with documents. Let's hear a little bit more.
Court documents claim that when complaints of fraud and sex abuse by Ballard started coming into the Attorney General's office, it was determined that Davis County Attorney's Office would investigate because Reyes' close relationship with the organization. The Davis County investigation team then started receiving tips from organizations that claimed Operation Underground Railroad was taking credit for their work and, quote, attacking them, unquote, for criticizing Ballard on social media, court documents state. Davis County allegedly issued subpoenas to the organizations to provide certain documents and testimony relevant to the investigation, according to court documents. Quote, upon learning of these complaints, Attorney General Reyes would step in and, rather than investigate what OUR and Tim Ballard were doing, would intimidate the complainants, unquote, attorneys write in court documents. Oh, so the big bad people had some questions. The big bad FBI had a few questions. And then they
about his boy,
and then they take that as like,
and then he goes,
victim.
Well, yeah, exactly. So
I'm a victim.
They were OUR is getting all these complaints in, and so the Davis County was looking through everything, being like, well, we need to investigate these things because all these people are complaining, and then Reyes would step in his AG position, and be like, I've got it, don't worry about it, and then would sort of threaten people in a certain way to not move forward, don't talk about these things, you don't know what you're talking about, because first off, he and Ballard were boys, but also General Reyes was participating in OUR and was alleged to have done some naughty things while he was there.
Of course these little babies would threaten people for asking questions and pushing back, because they're just
Yep.
infants.
And also he cares about his own image and self-preservation more than what's right, you know?
A good, normal, rational adult would say, hey, yeah, come investigate me. I don't care.
Exactly.
I've done nothing wrong.
Yes.
And that's whatever political spectrum side you're on. Hey, come investigate me. I don't care. I did nothing wrong.
Yeah, you don't just then go, you're just a pedophile.
Yeah.
That's why you want to check in on me, because I'm the only person saving the children. You're like, what do you mean saving the children? Their children are not for sale. God's children. What does that mean? You're a pedophile.
You're a pedophile. And then pose a picture with a gun? Like, you fucking loser.
Yeah. So that, what you were just reading out, and again, from Deseret News, this was not a leftist rag. That's a very brief overview of how Reyes found himself in the middle of Ballard's circus during and before these women came forward. He has also been accused of creating a nonprofit himself, Ryan mentioned this, called Lava, that would decide where to put donations, and he would funnel them to Ballard a lot of the time. So he, again, with these guys and their shell companies and their nonprofits, they're just collecting money. They're just fucking collecting money. And by the way, as he's doing this, as he's collecting donations for OUR, as OUR is getting all this money in, millions and millions and millions of dollars, it's important info because I'm like so far removed from the idea of financial crimes because of all of the horrible things that have happened, but their financial crimes are so egregious, including some of what Ryan has told us that show the money Ballard was collecting was going to resort stays, private flights, and them purchasing oceanfront luxury properties.
Yeah, I'm too poor to get any of that, to understand any of this.
If you were amoral, you could make all this money you're saying you were giving to orphanages.
I found $20 in the ATM one time, and I felt like a criminal taking it, but like there was nobody around.
There was a time in New York when I was with two of my girlfriends, and a guy in front of us at the ATM dropped three $100 bills.
Woo!
And we were all broke as fuck. We were living in New York. And there was a second where we all looked at each other, and then I don't remember which one of us was just like, we can't. Like, I just feel like the karma of it's too fucked up.
If they're right there, it's like, here's your money back. But if there's like nobody in the bodega, what am I going to take the 20? And
No,
is
of
this
course.
your money?
No, we watched this guy drop it. So
Was he
we
drunk?
No, he was like just a business guy. He probably didn't need it, but like at the same time, it's not our money, you know? So like, we watched him drop it. He had no idea.
Oh.
And then we were just like, we should just give it back to him. And we did.
I'm glad you
it over.
did.
Because I just feel like that's better for your soul in general.
Yeah. Because you would feel guilty about taking that and then probably not spend it ethically or
I mean, we would have
whatever.
just bought shots or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
just
it would
gone
have
to
just
the
been,
bar.
I just probably would have thrown up. But they don't have that feeling. These guys, they don't have that feeling ever.
No, they would just take the $300 bills and then see ya.
Yeah, and be like, God dropped it for us. Like, no, the guy's right there. He's right there.
I love it.
It
God
was
works.
God.
Yeah, God works in mysterious ways. That's how
Yep.
I got my beachfront property.
Exactly. So Reyes, alone with these accusations, is no victim, in my opinion. Reyes has been, again, assisting Ballard with OUR as far back as at least 2014, maybe earlier, and was very close with him, and many times has helped publicly perpetuate the myth of Ballard, claiming things like he was on a mission with Tim and they saved 54 children.
What?
Though there is really no evidence of this.
Do you think he really believes it?
I don't know.
Like,
It's that question.
yeah.
Maybe they do and they don't at the same time.
Because I think I remember telling my dad once where I was like, hey, Dad, remember when I used to go skateboarding a lot? He was like, no, you didn't. You were just watching a Tony Hawk video. Like, and I was like, oh, shit.
But that's
I
at
didn't say
least,
shit, but
that's like, that is
It was just
neutral.
in my...
That's a
Yeah.
neutral false memory.
I just like fell into the hole and was like, yeah, I could skateboard. I've been skateboarding. And it like, I built my own fake memories. And then it took my dad to be like, no. No.
But like that ultimately doesn't hurt anybody.
Right.
But these things, I don't know what the answer is to that. And that's something that I keep asking myself during the season is, do they, and we asked this Ryan too, do they believe what they're saying? Do they believe it, or have they just gone too far down and they have to keep lying?
Yeah. I
And
think
maybe
if
it's
you-
both.
It's both. If you lie to yourself enough and like create those false memories, you know they're false, but it feels good. And then after a while, that morality of knowing it's false just slowly disappears.
Yep.
And then,
And then you're Lori Vallow.
He saved
representing
54
yourself.
children. Yeah.
Yeah. So Reyes has been doing this stuff with him for a long time. And some would say he is very familiar with Tim's behavior. Very familiar. Because the accusations don't just stop at Reyes being Tim's fixer. This is also from Deseret News.
The lawsuit claims that Reyes participated in missions where Ballard was using the couple's ruse. According to court documents, Reyes, quote, stayed at the same safe house as Ballard and his ruse girlfriends and was aware of the couple's ruse, which, given that General Reyes is the highest law enforcement officer in Utah, validated that the couple's ruse was a legitimate law enforcement tactic.
So that on its own is saying that he gave the entire sexual assault claim, like the sexual assault game that Ballard was playing, he gave that credibility by just being there, being like, I'm the Attorney General of Utah. So if you feel like you're being raped, you're not. Like, this is part of the thing.
And I guess if like the cop is there, then you would be like, oh, as a ruse girl, you'd be like, oh, I guess it's okay because he's here.
Yes, 100%. And beyond that, there are pretty credible alleged allegations that Tim helped him set up his own quote unquote safe house where he would be visited by sex workers and drugs would be present. And it seems as though Reyes kind of maybe took the same pathway of thought that Ballard was, where at one point he just convinced himself this was what was needed to be done. But in reality, you just wanted your de-est.
Yeah.
But that you convinced yourself that, well, this is for helping children. And so allowed himself to participate in sexual acts in this safe house that was set up for him. So that's to say that there have been a lot of accusations that Reyes was doing the same fucking thing as Tim. Now, he hasn't been I don't think, as far as I know, Reyes hasn't been charged or like he's not being sued for those things. It's just other accounts saying that he was also doing it. What they focus on with Reyes is seemingly the financial crimes.
Financial crimes is how you get put away. You can rape all the kids you want, and they'll be like, stop doing that. Stop it.
Stop. Hey.
Come on.
Hey. Stop it.
That's bad.
Do you know it's bad? That's what the parole hearings, we're going to get into that probably next week, but Utah parole hearings for sex offenders is one of the hardest things to watch because, man, is it frustrating because you're just watching people going, that person's going to reoffend the second they get out and you're going to get them parole. I can see this happening over and over and over and over again. And it does because the sentences everywhere in the country, but definitely in Utah, are a facade. We'll talk more about this next week, but in Utah, you can be given a life sentence and it doesn't mean anything. You can still get out in 3-4 years. It doesn't, it's like an illusion.
A formality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So with Reyes, he's Trump's #1 fan, president of the fan club. And that may have been one of the inroads to get Tim Ballard into the White House. He might not have been the only person, but Tim got there. He did by 2019 and maybe sooner become the guy at the ear of Donald Trump.
Yeah, there's a lot of photos of them together.
It's not just photos. He was given a position. So let's listen to this little transcript of Trump's, what do they call that? Debriefing. After he met with Tim Ballard in 2019, one of their first meetings together. This is the debrief that Trump gives to the press.
Former DHS special agent and advocate Timothy Ballard.
Thank you for not doing the Trump voice.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to impersonate him. Timothy Ballard, who is here, will detail one case where a 13-year-old girl from Central America was kidnapped, trafficked across a section of our border without a wall, and then horribly abused in captivity while in New York City, taken right through a certain section where there is no wall and you can't see anything for miles and miles and miles. They could have come through anywhere they wanted, and if we have that all filled up, it would be very hard.
When you say Trump's words just in a normal voice, it does make you sound like you are insane.
If they have it all filled up, it'll be hard. There's a lot of cum rhetoric.
He just says words. Words just fall out of his mouth. But what you heard him just describe is a thing that did not happen, as a reminder.
He didn't happen. And he keeps saying the wall, we need the wall, but it didn't even happen.
No. So Tim has used his origin story, which we've covered, to help push the border wall agenda that Trump had by using events that did not happen. It was then parroted by the President of the United States of America. So the story that is not true, that Sound of Freedom is based on, was then told to the president, who then told the country that this is the thing that happened and that's why we need the wall.
God, so it's like a game of telephone with psychopaths.
Yes. This, by the way, I gave you the smallest little chunk. This is one of his mumbling, endless diatribes. He goes on and on and on and on about this thing that didn't happen. So Ballard remained connected to Trump, remains connected to him to this day. Actually, just like yesterday from when we were recording, Tim reposted a video of him and Trump and Jim Caviezel sitting together in 2023 explaining human trafficking. And I kind of watching it, I feel like I just got off a dark ride where like it's a screen and the seat moves, but the seat movement's kind of off kilter from when the screen moves. And so what you're watching is not fitting in your body and you get off and you're kind of dizzy. And you're like, something was really off here. Like, they didn't match up. And then you want to throw up.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I feel like when I watch that video. So it's just a little uncanny valley. I put a little screen grab in there. You can see they're all explaining. These three fucking predators are explaining human trafficking.
Oh, so this is Tim Ballard, Donald Trump, and the guy that played Tim Ballard in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ, of course. And so you can just tell that they're like gussing each other up and like, well, I got to listen to the man speak. Like they only let these people speak up, not people that might disagree with them or somebody else. But this is like,
they are literally predators.
My man's man.
I can't speak for Jim Caviezel, but he's at least complicit. They are predatory human beings talking about human trafficking to people, like mansplaining it. But he just reposted this. Trump actually held a screening of Sound of Freedom in 2023 and called it a documentary publicly. Because what are words? What words mean? There's things that fall out of your mouth. Sure, it's a documentary. Sure. And Ballard is still today he's doing his yarns. He appeared at CPAC just last year in 2024, and here he is. I just had to put this in as a certified hater. I put this picture of him at an Angel Studios premiere from 2024.
Oh, okay. There's no life behind his eyes. There's like nothing going on.
There's definitely a melted candle feel to him. Yeah, no, his eyes are very, I don't like looking into them, to be honest.
No, he has cult leader eyes.
Yeah.
They all have this. It's like this big soulless, vacuumous energy that you just stare at and you're like, he's actually a scary guy.
Yeah. So Ballard's still going at it, and I'm bringing this up because he is maybe not at this point, he isn't, as far as I know, working in the White House, but he has all of those same connections to the top of the government. How did he get there in the first place? Certainly Reyes helped him get in that room. Did you see I put this other screenshot up?
I do. Do you think they'd let us in the White House, Natalie?
Trump?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he'd love it. He'd be like, yeah, come on in, girls. Let me hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Let's explain intersectional feminism.
Can you imagine? I think there's probably some kind of trap door thing that would pop up and we get sucked down into the bowels of the White House.
We just fall down a chute and like land on a bunch of piles of bones.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, like Nothing But Trouble.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, I put this other screenshot in it's a picture of the thumbs up thing that Trump does. So it's Ballard, Trump, the director of Sound of Freedom, and Jim Caviezel all just standing doing this stupid fucking thumb thing in front of 4 American flags and a poster from the Sound of Freedom. Because you can't have just one flag.
No.
That's gay.
It's very patriotic.
You need one flag per man. So that's how you know his penis is red, white, and blue. Bleeds red, white, and blue. So comes red, white, and blue. So
you hate these people.
I hate them so much. I hate them so fucking much. I hate them. So he has friends in high places, Tim. And Reyes, again, he is partially to blame for how Tim got into the White House and into the ear of the president of the United States. But it's not just him. There are many more than one LDS guy pulling strings behind the scene in the U.S. government. While it seems for the moment Ballard doesn't have this direct role in the national government like he did in 2020, which he did, he had an official position in the White House in 2020. So who knows if who he's in cahoots with behind the scenes. But there are a number of LDS players currently in high places, and they are handling policies, lawmaking, and have political influence. And they are sending threads of madness and discord into all of our lives.
Right, because you can believe whatever you want, but this is like a death cult.
It is.
And they have political grip. And these are laws that we have to abide under.
They are. And next week, we're going to talk about the other major political players behind the scenes that are LDS people who are pulling the strings. And they have a lot of agendas, which, much like how Reyes spent large portions of his tenure as AG fighting against the rights of people who are not bothering him, simply because we're not living like Joseph Smith said, you're supposed to live other ways. That's what Joseph Smith said. So Reyes spent his time wasting it on the idea of the LGBTQ community, whatever. That's sort of along the same lines of what some of these people behind the scenes are doing, not just for queer people, but like any of us, people who are not living in the way that they deem is appropriate. Also, these LDS back channels are, yes, serving themselves and enriching their bank accounts, but they don't want you to have rights, and they don't want you to know what they're doing to their own children. Yuck. And I want to leave this episode today with, this is a statement that was made by attorney Tim Kosnoff, who we've brought up before. He spent decades fighting against the LDS Church for their many SA cover-ups over the years. He fought them over and over again in court, and this is what he has seen firsthand and believes that they think that they are entitled to legally.
But what we're talking about here is the rule of law. And the question is, does the Mormon Church believe in the rule of law? And that's a whole other discussion, because I would maintain, no, they don't. Because the Mormon Church believes that it is the rule of law and that it takes precedent over the Constitution and the secular laws. Now, they'll deny that and pay lip service, but, that's what they do. They are not, they believe that the law of the church is supreme.
That's just so crazy that so everything about our lives ideally would be micromanaged. Mm-hmm. And what are you witches up to? But then they can kind of get to do whatever they want. And that secret little third thing.
Yes. Yeah.
They just want to do whatever they're just spoiled brats.
Yes.
That's all this is. These are a bunch of spoiled children.
Yeah.
These aren't men.
With guns. With guns and gavels.
Guns and gavel. Yeah. Honestly, the gavel's scarier than the gun.
Yeah, it's true.
But they're just a bunch of scared little boys who don't understand that they have to acclimate to the world. And instead of doing that, they want to blow it up.
They do. And they are. So, cool.
Fuck them. So once again, Magic Mind helping us to stay clear, because this episode was pretty politically scientific, poli-sci.
Oh, yeah.
You got really deep in there.
Oh, I did.
Man, you could teach a college course on this.
Oh, please no. But maybe if I took enough Magic Mind, I could do it. Remember, if you want to get 60% off, you just go to magicmind.com/someplacemf and use the code someplace60, the number 60, and you get a big old discount, and I really hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah, take care of yourself. Take care of your mind.
Coming up next week, the Saints go marching in to Washington. While many high-control churches avoid political aspirations or stick to local legislation, the Mormons take on their toxic relationship with government from the inside. And they want in your bedroom, your classroom, and your bank account.